problem, I am to graph f of x equals 3 sine x plus 4. So let me show you what y equals 3 sine x would look like to begin with. I'm going to click the second icon here, which allows me to start at the origin in the middle of the graph. And this would be the graph of y equals 3 sine x. The 3, the amplitude, dictates how high and how low the graph goes. If it wasn't for this plus 4, the midline would go through y equals 0. The graph would go as high as 3 and as low as negative 3. And it would have a period of 2 pi units, which is a little bit bigger than 6. So it would take 6 units for it to go up, down, back up, and you'd have that second x-intercept from the origin over at 6. So I'm going to move this over so that my second x-intercept, here's my first x-intercept right of the origin, here's my second, and that would be a correct graph of y equals 3 sine x because it has the right period, has the right amplitude, goes as high as 3 and as low as negative 3, midline through 0. Now adding 4 to the graph is just going to shift this graph up 4 units. So the first thing to note is instead of the middle of the graph, the midline being y equals 0, it's going to be y equals 4. So when I clear the drawing here and I click on this icon, I'm not going to start at 0, 0, I'm going to start at 0, 4. And I'm still going to have to go up 3 and down 3 from the middle. So if you take 4 and add 3 and take 4 and subtract 3, you can figure out that if you started at 4, the graph would go as high as 7 because its amplitude is 3, and it would also go 3 units lower, so 4 take away 3 is 1. So my graph is going to go between 1 and 7 instead of negative 3 and 3. So let me clear this drawing, start over. I'm going to click the second icon. I'm not going to start at 0, 0 because the midline is not going through 0, it's going through 4. So I'm going to click and hold down at 4. And I need to go as high as 3 units higher than 4 would be 7. So right now I have my amplitude right and my midline. My midline is going through y equals 4 now, and the high point is 3 units higher from the middle and 3 units lower. So you can think of it as the high point would be 4 plus 3 or 7, and the low point would be 4 take away 3 or 1. But notice that the range between the low and the high is still 6 units. From 1 to 7 is 6 units. Always double the amplitude. Since my amplitude is 3, the difference in the high points and the low points must be 6. And they are. 7 minus 1 is 6. Now the problem with this is my period is off. My midline is y equals 4, and I would get my second, it wouldn't be an x-intercept anymore, but the midline y equals 4, if I could graph this, I wish I could graph it in red here, the graph would hit that midline at second time right here, a little bit to the left of x equals 2, but we know that the period of sine is 2 pi. So it's supposed to take a little more than 6 radians to do that. So I'm going to grab this point up here, click and hold down, and move it so that I get one period or one cycle of the sine in about 2 pi radians, which is a little bit bigger than 6. So that is one cycle of the sine. It goes up, down, comes back up. And if I could draw the line y equals 4, the midline, you would see the graph hitting that midline once here and hitting the midline the second time right here. You get your second y value at 4, moving to the right here, just to the right of 6. Might not be far enough over, I'm not sure. One way to know is just to hit submit and see if it gives you credit. I'm getting 0 out of 1, which means it isn't quite far enough to the right. That isn't quite 2 pi. So I'm going to click this and see if it lets me alter my answer by just moving it just to the right a little bit so I don't have to start over. And it looks like, you know, it's hard to do, but maybe if I move it over that far, that seems to me like it might be too far. I'm not sure. I will resubmit my answer, and I'm still not getting credit. So checking this, I'm sure that I've got my, oh, I know what happened here. If you look at this, it doesn't go as low as 1 anymore. So I'm glad this has actually happened to show you that sometimes you just have to fiddle with it. I'm going to click this until you get it right. So let me move that so that it goes as low as 1, as high as 7, and let me see, it's hitting 4 right here, hitting 4 again right there, just to the right of 6. I think it was the amplitude that it was getting marked wrong for, not the period. So now if I hit submit, I get full credit, and this is why my students get more than 2 or 3 tries. Typically they get infinitely many on homework. So hopefully that makes sense.